Since the beginning of the booster course pass for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Mario Kart 8 has grown from having 48 tracks, which was the most in the series, to now having a whopping 96 tracks, one gap away from 100. That is incredible, but in this video I thought me, being a Brawl Stars YouTuber, should go into Mario Kart and rank every single track from worst to best. This will include all the DLCs, every single track you can think of, and anything that might be inside of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and I'm going to do it in a very simple way. I'm going to do it purely based on my opinion, but obviously my opinion will have some factors, including aesthetic, item play, shortcuts, and any other details you might need, like track layout. While I do this, I just want to say, I may or may not have a slight bias towards Mario Kart DS, and a slight bias against Mario Kart Wii. I can't really explain it. I grew up with Mario Kart DS, and since everyone likes a Wii, I'm just built different, and for some reason I don't like the game. I don't know why. I think it was when I first played it as a kid, I hated the colour scheme and just the tracks, and I kind of just grew up with that, and I've never really been able to give it a chance. So, if you see Mario Kart Wii tracks a bit low, maybe bump them up a couple of places just to get rid of my bias, and that's where I'd really place them, if I was neutral. But yeah, this is my opinion. So if you don't like my Baby Park ranking or my Choco Mountain ranking, for example, go complain on Reddit, I don't care. But without further ado, let's start with the F tier tracks. I'm truly disappointed, and my day is ruined after seeing the disgrace, the cruelty that happened to Sky Garden. I've placed it in dead last because growing up with it as a Mario Kart DS retro track, I saw it in the booster course pass, and a piece of me died inside. I actually felt like dying after seeing Sky Garden. It's just not even a good track anymore, so it's in dead last. Honestly, I feel like a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this take, because I've seen a lot of people actually defend this track quite a lot. But I'm willing to fight you guys in the comments. I honestly think Neo Bowser City is a god-awful track. I have not ever enjoyed it. The physics on it are really just bad, and that one U-turn is just a disgrace to Mario Kart. I feel like the theming is cool, and it's cool to have a Bowser track that isn't just a standard castle, but the rest of the track just lets it down. So you're going to sit here and tell me that you thought Toad Circuit wasn't going to be in the bottom 5? Well, I'm a bit original, unlike every other Mario Kart creator, and I actually decided not to put it in dead last, because I feel like those two tracks are more of the scum of the earth than Toad Circuit. Toad Circuit may have stole a spot from my beloved Figure 8 Circuit, the best track in the Mario Kart series, but I'll let it slide. It's simple and effective, it does the job, I don't mind it, even though it's kind of bad. Honestly, this track has the most fitting name of them all, because Tokyo Blur really did feel like a blur. There's nothing interesting in this track, whether from the thwomps to the basic layout, and it actually just feels like a complete blur to play. I have nothing good to say about this track, because it was just bare bones, and it wasn't a great representation of the cities that would be getting. You know it's bad when I'm going to actively start supporting Wii tracks, because I had such high expectations for every single one of the base Mario Kart 8 tracks, but then I saw Burn Dry Dunes and it was awful. I had been disgusted, it was abhorrent, it was a mess of a track, and I don't know how they managed to mess this up when the desert track in Wii was so good in comparison. This felt like such a letdown compared to the previous game's entries for desert tracks. Desert tracks are never popular, but this one was just so bad. The awful controls yet again, the awful turns. I'm starting to see a trend with this in Neo Bowser City. You might start to see that I like having actual control in my kart. That seems to be a thing I like in Mario Kart. Sunset Wilds, more like Sunset Milds, more like Sunset Mid, more like Wilds. This track really did not deliver on the original purpose of Sunset Wilds, and honestly, I've heard enough different YouTubers talk about it, so you guys probably know that it's just a bad track. They got rid of all the personality of it and just made it a bare bones desert track. Look guys, it's a SNES track in our Mario Kart 8, the only one to be added to the base game, keep in mind. Obviously this track's just gonna be worse, it's from a inferior Mario Kart game, just get good. I don't think you guys are going to believe this, but in the booster course pass, they may have just added a Super Mario Kart course again. We got Mario Circuit 3, boys. Let's go. This track sucks. So entering D tier, we have the tracks that aren't absolutely god awful, and starting with it, we've got Sherbet Land. Who would have guessed the most generic snow track to ever exist is at the bottom 10? Like, that is actually insane, guys. I'm really just starting this list off with some hot takes, and listing off another track that you guys probably like is DK Jungle. A lot of people do like this track as it's one of the most popular ones from Mario Kart 7. But honestly, I don't love the layout of this one. The shortcuts are just kind of difficult. This may all just be a skill issue on my end, but I don't care. The shortcuts are difficult. The ending bit is always so congested, especially online. It's basically impossible to get a good position if you're in like 4th on that area. It just feels like that track's just not made for Mario Kart 8, especially 200cc. 200cc is literally hell on that track, like for real. This track in my eyes is literally the definition of anti-climax central. I really thought this track would be a wonderland, going down a huge slope after climbing it for like half a minute. But honestly, it's so boring. When you get to the top of the hill, there's nothing there. You're literally just going down for a solid 20 seconds with no action. The only action is the item play, but most of the time you're not even facing much because it's just one item box. Like, they really could have done more here. Like, dropping coins on the track and a glider ramp is not enough, Nintendo. Please. Dry desert, mid desert, or just dry nothing. This track is so bad. Like, the puns just make itself at this point. It's the ultimate bagging track, which usually I am down for bagging, but it's literally all sand. Name one thing that's unique about this track. Maybe the Whirlpool, but it was better in Double Dash. Like, don't get me started on that. Why'd they ruin it? Come on, Nintendo. Said that twice in a row now. Oops. If I wanted to stay in the air for 20 goddamn minutes, I would just get some parachuting lessons, okay? They really decided to add Twisted Mansion instead of Luigi's Mansion from Mario Kart DS. It may be my bias kicking in, but honestly this track is just not fun to play because you know that you might have missed out on Luigi's Mansion. Hopefully Mario Kart 9, Nintendo. This is just another track that severely disappointed me. Like, Baby Park and Excite Bike Arena are both the same shape but have much more interesting factors such as the jumps and just the item play. But this has nothing. It's literally just themed around ice cream, which Sweet Sweet Canyon does much better. Considering I'm from the UK, I was considering either being super biased or super unbiased to myself and putting it at the top or the bottom of the list, but honestly, London does deserve to go about here. It's honestly kind of a boring city with nothing going on in particular, whereas tracks like Vancouver or Athens have actually decent themes. I guess there's not enough people with knives in this track to consider it actually being London. Berlin Byways is literally just London Loop Part 2. At least it has a train's cool, and it has the Fromps, they're cool. And it has a bridge, I'm pretty sure. Maybe? I can't remember this track that much, it's kind of a blur. It's a Tokyo blur. Ice Ice Outburst somehow cracked the top 80, which is kind of surprising since it's kind of just a bad track. It gets outshined in every way possible. The two silent systems just so much better in tracks like Sweet Sweet Canyon, and the theming just isn't really it. It's just a basic snare track with a few different posts on it. It's just mid. So 78 to 76 is all the Mario Kart circuits that were in the base game. So Mario Circuit from the GBA is the worst in my opinion. It did have a little bit of a reboot by having that little bit that goes up with the turn, but it's not that interesting. Going to 77, we've got Mario Kart Stadium, the first track in Mario Kart. It's cool, it's flashy, it looks good, but it's just kind of there. You know, it's the beginner track. Even a toddler could do it. My brother literally played Mario Kart on my Switch today for the first ever time, and he came first in 50cc. I did give him auto steer, but we don't tell him that. And in 76, we have Mario Kart Circuit, the dream figure 8 circuit. We need figure 8 circuit in Mario Kart 9, or we buy it. A petition to bring figure 8 circuit back, please. Please, guys. Yes. I actually love how Mario Kart 8 is usually so creative with its tracks names, and then this one's just called Water Park. I kind of love it for that, honestly. But the layout for this one's kind of simple. I do like the one big turn where you get like 2 Ultra Mini Turbos, but other than that it's just kind of boring. I feel like a lot of tracks in this game just get outshined by the really good tracks, because I actually do feel like a lot of these tracks are good now. It's just there's just not a lot to say about them. For example, Animal Crossing. I love Animal Crossing. I haven't really been a big fan of the series, but it's a good series, you know? And I love the theme changing. It fits with the series and all the little references they have, like the coins and the balloons. It just makes sense to have a good course based around Animal Crossing in Mario Kart. But it's just a circuit. They could have done so much more with this track, and it just does get outshined for being a circuit. Closing off the details, we have Choco Mountain. I actually really loved this version before they redid the whole layout, but I don't know, it makes sense. There was a lot of cheese on the old track, how you could like fall all the way down to the start of the lap and other stuff with that, and how it was kind of simple with the beginning bit with the big mountain. It also didn't look great, but I actually think that version was a lot better than the version we got, which makes me kind of disappointed to have this version. This version is good, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't feel like a mountain. We go through a cave and we kind of just watch out for boulders. Like, it's not really a mountain, it should just be Choco Adventure, Choco Puffs, Choco Hoops, Choco your mom. Honestly, starting off the city tier, Bangkok Rush isn't all that bad for a city track. It does have some unique stuff, starting through some boats and going past some stores, including some other things. It does have cool theming and it's good for a city, but it's just not my favourite track in the game, to be totally honest. Honestly, it's the same with Singapore Speedway. It's a very unique theming again, but again it's just a city. It can't do that much with it, to be fair. I feel like this with a lot of the Wave 4 city tracks. You'll see that there's one that I haven't named, but the other two just kind of feel kind of bland and don't offer as much as the third. Dolphin Shoals has me very mixed in Mario Kart. It's got a very unique theming, and considering it's in the Star Cup, probably the best cup of all time in Mario Kart. It's kinda good, but again it's a water track. I don't really like the eel either. It again may just be a giant skill issue on my end, but I can never stay on the eel. Is it actually an eel? I don't know. I don't care. Tell me in the comments. In my opinion, Paris is the most hated track in the game, which is most overhated. It is a good track in my eyes. It has a very simple layout, but it does the job well. You go through all the big landmarks like the Eiffel Tower, while also having just a fun layout which isn't too confusing to the new players. It fits very well into the first cup of the booster course pack. I'm going to hurt a lot of you guys with this pick, but Hyrule Circuit isn't really all my cup of tea. Again, I am not really a big Zelda fan or The Legend of Zelda, so I honestly could just have a bit of bias against it in terms that it's new to the series. But it is a good track, it's a good circuit, it's better than Animal Crossing, it has a unique theme. You can also go past all the special landmarks in The Legend of Zelda, which is really cool to see, and there's quite a lot of shortcut potential. It's just a good track overall. Shy Guy Falls has definitely got to be the most adventurous track in the base game of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Going up and down waterfalls is such a unique concept that only a game like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe could pull off. The entire concept of just being able to go past all these working Shy Guys as they just do their thing while you're just boosting up and down, defying the laws of gravity, is really cool, and I really think the next game should have a lot more gimmicks kind of like this, where you just do interesting stuff rather than having to necessarily completely fit the track layout. Ninja Hideaway had the most potential of any track in the game to be number 1, but honestly I feel like they missed the mark. Porting this game over from Tour to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it wasn't very good. I feel like they made this track well too small for this game, and especially on 200cc, you just end up bonking into every single wall. It's not really that fun to play because it's so squashed, and I ended up feeling like it's got to go down a few places because of that. This one was a classic from Mario Kart DS, being the obviously beach water themed track of the game, and it felt really good for a beginner track, and I feel like it fits the role perfectly. They revamped it really well for this game, and I feel like it's one of the good water tracks that is actually bearable in the series. I understand the whole water gimmick is good for the game, but I feel like a lot of the tracks actually just lose a lot of their fun because of it. But with Cheap Sheep Beach, it doesn't. It has a lot of variety, and the water actually is benefiting the track, so it's good overall. Ooh, I wonder how many hate comments I'm gonna get for this take. Mushroom Gorge, all the way down in 64th. I'm sorry guys, I honestly have never seen the hype for Mushroom Gorge. It's a mushroom track, it's a kind of lame track in my eyes. You bounce on mushrooms. Cool. DK Jungle, you bounce on flower things that do the exact same thing. What's the uniqueness? I don't know. The gap jump also isn't that appealing to me. Again, maybe skill issue, but I can actually do the gap jump. I can do that one. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not that appealed by it. But now, since we're a third of the way through the courses, I am going to do a character ranking for every character that ended up making it to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I am not really going to talk through it, I'm just kind of showing it on screen now, because, I don't know, I need a way to break all these chunks up if you keep watching until the 32nd placement, you'll get to see my battle course ranking, which I'm sure will be very, very interesting, and it probably won't just be like one track at S or the others at B, because let's be real, the battle courses in this game are slightly... Despite not being as good as the OG counterpart of Moo Moo Farms, Moo Moo Meadows still does its job to be an original, good starter track. It's the first track of the retros from the base game. What can I say? It's just a very good feel-good track. I was talking about Amsterdam Drift earlier when I said this was the best of the Wave 4 cities. All of them seem to kind of blur together except for this one. This one you get to go through beautiful countrysides, down into an actual moat, and around different areas of Amsterdam. It's a very cool drive, and it utilises the underwater elements that are in 7 and 8 very well, and it's just a well-made tour track. It's not too confusing either. Ooh, I can already hear you guys absolutely tearing me apart yet again, because I put DK Summit down in 61st. Well, you guys are just gonna have to put up with it. I don't really like the Wii tracks, so... L. I have more reasoning than just that, obviously, because it's not just the fact it's a Wii track. I just don't really feel like the half pipes work, for one. I don't like cheesy shortcuts that make everyone win except for one person who doesn't know the shortcut. Hence the gap jump and the gap jump from this track being so low. And I just feel like it doesn't do it as well as some other snow tracks could. Like Mount Warrior is just a completely better version. Despite probably having the best visuals in the entire game, it probably is the most unmemorable track, Wildwoods, in the game. I feel like you do a lot, but at the same time you come out of it and 10 seconds later have no clue what happened in the race. It's a very cool track, and you get to go through a bunch of elements going down the tree and down the different parts of it, but it's just not very memorable at the end of it. This is truly just a testament to how good Wave 6 was, having Madrid Drive as the worst track from that wave, still appearing at the top of C tier. It was a really good track, not gonna lie, and I do feel like it had a lot of very eventful moments, but at the same time I just feel like there are much other better tracks, and there's tracks that kind of fill its spot as a good city, so it's just going at the top of C tier. Closing off the C tier, we've finally got Sweet Sweet Canyon. As I said earlier, Sweet Sweet Canyon's probably my favourite theming in the entire game. I love just the idea of driving in the middle of sweets and different types of candy just going down on top of you. It's a very cool concept, and I love the alternate paths as well, how there's two different routes, and it also utilises the water well, even though I feel like it didn't need to have water at all on that track and it could have played the exact same. It also has the cool barrel shooty thingies that a lot of the tracks have that are from Wii, which is quite cool, so it's cool to have them. Being the first retro Rainbow Road to ever exist, it's obvious that SNES Rainbow Road is just going to be the worst one, but to be fair, it is the very bottom of B tier and it's not all the way in F, so it is a pretty good Rainbow Road. The only thing that holds it back is it's very flat and it doesn't have much going on, just a thwomp and another thwomp and a gap. Very, very creative course design, Nintendo. I love it. Okay, guys, I have reasons, don't kill me. I have played this one in 7 as well as Wii, so I actually had experience from an unbiased perspective. I played it more in 7, by the way, so it's not really affecting my bias, this one. I genuinely think it's down here. Well, I thought all the ones were down here, but especially this one. The reason being that I put it quite low is because this version just kind of butchered it. The look of it is just completely off. The colours just feel too saturated, too cartoony, and it's not how it used to be. As well as that, they got rid of the electric things. I don't really have too much of a problem with it, but it did make the course what it was. They also got rid of the glider ramp, which I have mixed feelings on, because I feel like they should have split it to be half glider, half just trickable, because then it makes the jet stream feel more enjoyable. They also just reduced the jet stream and put everything underwater like they kind of did before in 7, which isn't very good on my opinion. I feel like there's too many issues with it to be a high ranking track. There's only one track I've really got problems with compared to its previous versions that I put high in this list, so you'll have to wait to see which one then. You really didn't think I'd let this city also go for too long. I do think there's a few cities in the game which are really, really good, but this one's just alright. It's pretty good. It has quite a lot of interesting aspects going on, like the chain chomp biting at the railings and the nice little shortcuts you can take. There's quite a few different things you can do, and I love every time that JP Givner goes through the hoops where the fuzzies are, he always gets hit by one. That just makes the course 10 times better. No, but really this track just is good all round. Yo guys, it's got a train! It's got a train, guys! Insane! Personally, I don't know what to think of this track. It was one of my favourite tracks from Mario Kart DS, having such a unique aspect going up all the ramps and just being able to do lots of cool things, even without tricking. So seeing this track come back, I did have a good feeling about it, seeing how you could be able to trick on everything. But they removed my favourite part. I loved the part where you just go on loads of different bounces, and they might have just removed it because it would have been weird with the trick system having so many different ramps there. But at the same time, I just preferred it, and I feel like if they got rid of any part, it wouldn't have been that part in my opinion. But it's still a good track, like, don't get me wrong, I still like the track. Midboard Freeway is a very interesting track because it seems like everything it has done has already been replaced by a seemingly better track. The whole tree theme has been replaced by Wild Woods. The whole like kind of vibe of going down feels like it's been replaced by tracks like Cooper Summit, Cooper Cape and DK Summit and stuff like that. And I don't know, it just feels like it's a mixed bag of a bunch of different newer concepts, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I do definitely like this track. It just feels like it's a bit out of place now. We all love Wario's Gold Mine, but have we ever actually thought about the implications for the lore of this whole track? Like, what is he doing with this gold? Is it going into the coins that go towards the Mushroom Kingdom? Is he just extremely greedy? Probably that one. Is it something else? I don't know. It just feels like there's some lore behind this track. Royal Raceway feels very raw and very envisioned from Nintendo. They seem to have known what they were doing from the start, and the remake also carries this kind of feeling. I love the trees and I love the general vibe of this track. It feels unlike any other circuit, and for that it deserves a good B-tier placement. I've heard it so many times, and I'm sure you've also heard it so many times, but Shroom Ridge just feels like a natural just journey with your family going down a nice country area. It feels like you're about to go camping or something, and I love it for that. This was probably the single most difficult track to actually place in this list. I felt like I wanted to rank it really high when it first came out, but as I've played it more, it just feels like a generic water track. Yes, it goes really deep, which is actually really interesting. I love how deep it goes. And the stuff just in the water is cool, but like, again, what actually is different other than like the anti-gravity physics making it so you can cut a lot of corners? Like, there's not that much actually unique about it if you think. Honestly, I've kind of started to dislike Yoshi Valley a lot more. As you know, Yoshi's my favourite character, so I kind of had a slight bias towards his tracks as well, which may also come up with one of his tracks later on. But I feel like this track just kind of grew away from me. Like, I loved the idea of all the different routes and the concept of that, but the fact that only one route is actually viable and the others are just kind of not really used ever is kind of sad to me. I wish they made a track with this kind of concept but actually made it so every route was the same or just as fast as one another. Before you all start whining about this being my favourite circuit track because it's a DS track, actually I have two more circuit tracks on this list that are both in the A tier, so get good. I have not actually just put bias on this track, but this is a goated circuit. I loved it in DS, I still love it now, even though I think again they did remove the best part. I loved how it was like super tight, and then like they kept it kind of like a tight turn, but they didn't do it as much, and I feel like it was good changes, but you know, nostalgia hurts to see it changed. I'm gonna hurt a lot of you by saying this, but I feel like DK Mountain is literally just a better version of DK Summit. Like, everything about the two tracks are the same. You kind of go up a little bit, then you go up a big pipe that leads you all the way to the top, then you're making your descent all the way down while going off half pipes and other steep turns. Like, it's literally the same track, just one snow, one jungle mountain themed. Like, I feel like the similarities are so there, but no one notices them ever, and I found it weird that both were put in Wii at the same time. But yeah, I feel like this version's a lot better, so hate all you want, I don't care. Vancouver Velocity is an almost perfectly made city track. Considering I hated the city tracks at first, this one came as a real surprise, considering every lap feels really unique and authentic, and it feels like an actual journey, rather than just like a boring, confusing maze of a track. You go through a hockey area, you go through different parks, and you glide over different areas, and it's just a really cool track. Mount Wario is widely considered to be the best track in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which on the one hand I could agree that this is probably the collective's most popular, but honestly I've never really seen the hype. There's a lot of things that I feel like have kind of flawed with this track, and I'm going to go through them. I feel like the whole cavern area, the way of going around the top isn't actually as fast as the bottom route, which makes it kind of redundant. The way in the dam is very cool, and I like all the boosts going across it. It's very cool to be like sideways on a dam, of all things. But here comes the forest part. I actually don't like this part at all, because I always feel like I hit like 6,000 trees on the way down, and it's not even my fault half the time. It will just like a tree will just appear out of the abyss. Like, I feel like that one section like makes it A tier for me basically. If that wasn't there, it would probably be one of my favourite tracks in the game. I find it funny that originally when I first played this game, Grumble Volcano was my least favourite track out of every single one, but now it's actually somewhere up there in the top 30. I know that's not like an extreme improvement, but it's still something, you know? I do think that this track has a lot of kind of clunkiness to it with how the floor goes down and just different layers. It didn't feel too smooth, but that's kind of the basis of the track, being like a volcano. It's also a cool replacement for Bowser's Castle, because obviously it did replace the Bowser's Castle retro track of this game, so yeah. I don't have all too much to say about Electrodrome, but I think it is cool. It's the only track with one word in its name. And I like the theming, before anyone starts hating on me. I do think it is kind of overrated, just a little bit. It's still a good track though, I do enjoy it. As you're going to see from the kind of higher tracks that I've ranked, I prefer the kind of like short GBA style tracks in this game. I do like long tracks, but I feel like the short ones just have a lot more item play and a lot more just uniqueness to them. Like, tracks don't need to drag on forever. Oh, it's Mikachu's hot take number 69 maybe. We've got Big Blue, Mute City. So firstly, I actually prefer Mute City, unlike basically everyone. I don't know, I just prefer it like as a lap based system. The whole like shortcut bit at the end as well is really good on Mute City. But both tracks are good. They're just very overrated, okay? I don't know, like they're not that good. You guys are gonna hate me when you see some of the most hated tracks are like really high up. But yeah, an absolute cult classic from the DS, we have Peach Gardens. I actually preferred the version in DS and Wii because it was more maze-like, and I really liked that, but obviously they've made it better so it's easier to learn the routes and it's just easier to do the gliding section at the end, because obviously it would be kind of difficult if you're just landing in a maze as you come down. But yeah, I like what they did with the track on lap 3 as well, and it does look good. It's just, I preferred the old one. Yoshi's Island is a really odd one for me to place, because I love Yoshi, I love Yoshi's Island, I love everything related to Yoshi, but at the same time, this track just, the more I play it, the less I enjoy it. It's very odd, but I don't know, there's just a lot of personality to it, but I feel like that's it. The water section is just a bit bland, going up the hill is kind of just a bit bland, then once in the clouds I actually really enjoy that part, even from like a very unbiased perspective, and gliding down the whole hitting the cloud is very cool. I like how it opens up the hidden path, but I don't know, apart from the references, like I feel like I've ranked this one higher just because of bias, to be fair, but I don't know. I bet you guys weren't expecting more Luigi Pinball in the beta. The DS fan is putting the most popular DS track in beta. Well, I've always found this track overrated. I swear I'm not just trying to be controversial, I swear. Please don't kill me. But yeah, I don't know, it's just, you don't spend enough time on the pinball machine to really make it a proper pinball track. A lot of the time you're just going down with the balls, which is cool, like, but other tracks just also do that, like DK Jungle, you go down with the boulders. Like, what's so special about Waluigi Pinball that makes it better? Look, Gromit, the moon's made of cheese. No, but really, this track was kind of butchered in this version, but at the same time, I really like this version. It's an odd kind of like, we got a worse version, but at the same time they upgraded so many things of the track so much that we also got a better version. It's a weird hybrid of the two, and I actually really like it, even though they kind of butchered the moon theme. Finishing up the top of beta, I probably have the most controversial take of the entire video. I have put Baby Park, and above that, Excite Bike Arena. I don't know what to say. Please don't kill me, JP Givner fans, if any of you are watching this. Also, firstly, say you hear from JP Givner. I would love to see some big actual Mario Kart YouTubers comment on this, so if you're a big YouTuber, please say hi. Also, if you're just like watching this far in, thank you for not skipping to the end, you're a real one. Comment Asparagus, please. But yeah, I enjoy these tracks so much because of their fun factor rather than the actual layouts. Like, obviously they're a circle, Baby Park being a super small circle and Excite Bike Arena being a large one. But I just feel like the item play and the things you can do on the tracks make it really fun. Like, Baby Park's so small, meaning items just go haywire. Yeah, it was better in Double Dash, I agree with everyone. But like, the 8 version is really fun and chaotic as well, if I can speak. And Excite Bike Arena is the same, but with tricking. Like, I feel like it's even more fun because the tricks you can do while the items are just going up and down the different bumps. It's just really fun, it's a good vibe. Like, it's obviously not an S tier track because it needs a good layout, a good theming, good everything. But like, they're still really good tracks, don't get me wrong. No way, guys, we're 2/3 of the way through the tier list and we have officially done with the B tier, so I'm ranking the battle courses. Do you like the battle courses? I have been doing this for like so long. I said I'd get the video out a week ago and it's still going. I've had enough. I'm only 2/3 of the way through. Help me please, I am struggling right now. Kicking off the A tier, we have the Circuit of Daisies, by which I mean Daisy Circuit. I feel like this track nails the simplicity, but also nails the like hard to master element of Mario Kart, with all the boost pads and like sharp turns. But at the same time, it's just a basic circuit. It's very good mix, and I think it's honestly the second best circuit in the game. When I first played Mario Kart DS, as I've said multiple times, it was my first ever Mario Kart game. And Wario Stadium never really stood out as a good track to me. It was just full of mud and it just didn't have that appeal that other tracks did. But honestly, as I've grown up with the Mario Kart games, I feel like Wario and Waluigi Stadium have definitely grown on me. These two tracks are both really good, especially Waluigi Stadium, with all the tricks and the different piranha plants in the way. I feel like it's DK Summit done right with the half pipes, and for that, I love it. I'm honestly going to keep this part short because I know everyone knows what's so good about Daisy Cruiser. The theming, the layout, everything about it. The underground bit where it goes in the water could be a bit better, bit how it used to be if they made it so both was the same speed. But other than that, it's a really cool track. Waluigi Pinball, Mount Wario, and now Rainbow Road from 3DS are not the #1 spot. What could I have put at #1? I don't think you guys would actually guess until the end, so make sure to watch. Don't skip, please, I swear to God. But Rainbow Road on Mario Kart 7 is a very good track, I have to admit. It's an A tier track, of course, I'll put it here. And you go through everything in the solar system. I honestly... Yo guys, it's the generic snow track that was just named after Rosalina and themed after Rosalina to be cool. No, but seriously, I actually think this track is cool, even without the Rosalina references. I'm not a huge Mario Galaxy fan, I have played it, but I'm not like a crazy like fan like some people. I'm more of a 64 kind of guy, TikTok clock. But like, I think this track has a very good layout and the theming is on the weaker side, but it's still good. It's good enough to be a good track. Like, the first turn is my entire childhood for Mario Kart 7. That turn being so steep against 150cc CPUs was the death of me and I loved it. And then the water is just fun, and going through the bit after where you go through the ice is always fun to avoid the actual icicles, and it's just chaos throwing green shells and stuff around there. And then the final bit, they've added like that cool shortcut, which isn't much, but it's actually very good if you've got triple mushrooms, and then you can take the like auto control bit on the first turn after with another mushroom. It's a very good track. It's been very well designed for 8, I'll have to admit. I feel very divided about this placement on Bowser's Castle. On the one hand, I feel like this is actually one of the worst Bowser's Castles in Mario Kart. I feel like it rivals Mario Kart 7 as the worst one in the series, maybe apart from some of the awful Super Mario Kart ones. But on the same hand, it's a Bowser's Castle. Bowser's Castles are always like the highlight of the Mario Karts with the Rainbow Roads, so I didn't know what to do. I decided putting it in A tier because overall, looking at the grand scheme of things, it is still a good track. It's just I'm blinded by having such other good Bowser's Castle tracks that this one isn't as good in comparison. It's just kind of a shame. Do you remember us all in Mario Kart Wii asking for a music track that would be very cool with musical notes and being able to play instruments? Well, neither do I, but in Mario Kart 7, the Mario Kart gods blessed us with this beauty of a track, and honestly, is amazing. Like, being able to play the instruments as you drive on them and just seeing like the notes bounce up and down, and just the shortcuts you can take through instruments and different like paths, is really cool. For the 2 people that haven't skipped to the end of this video and are still watching, I salute you, but first, you want to hear a hot take? No, you don't? Well, I'm going to tell you. I think Rainbow Road, the original from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, is good. I've said it, okay? I've said it. This is a good Rainbow Road. Everyone's always hating on it as if it's like the worst track ever because it had a bit of technology. Like, the whole game, if you look at it, it's based around like being more how do you say that word? It's got more advanced, that's the word. It's in the future. Not maybe in the future, but it's just got more advanced. Like, the gimmick is anti-gravity. People don't understand it's the main focus of the game. Like, look at the Bowser's castle. They've got lasers and a giant Bowser statue. Like, it's the whole point of this game. Like, I won't be surprised if the next game fully embraces it and is set, like, in the future. The track is shaped like Yoshi. Enough said. There's two sayings I like to live by. Julius Caesar's wife is innocent, and there's no land like Snowland, because Snowland is just such a peaceful track. It's very fun, and I just enjoy having that kind of playstyle. Sydney Sprint is the tour track that I think of when I just think of Mario Kart Tour. It's just got everything. It's got a really recognisable layout. Everything's different every single lap. You reverse on the lap, but it feels different as you go through the parts backwards. And then you go through all the iconic landmarks like the Sydney Opera House, and you just go through different areas that would make up Sydney. And you know, there's not much to talk about with tour tracks, but considering it's a tour track, it's actually got quite a lot to talk about. The park section's personally my favourite, how you go through all the grassy areas, because there's a lot of shortcut potential as well as just looking nice. I also like how they've incorporated gliding, so you glide over the water multiple times. It's all just a really nice track, you know, and yeah. I don't know what to say here. I haven't wrote a script for any of these, if you can't tell. I feel like this Rainbow Road is somehow even less popular than the Rainbow Road for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and I don't get why. Like, the one from the original N64, I do agree, despite having a lot of charm, it was very bad because of the length, and it wasn't justifiable to be that way in Mario Kart 8, but the way they handled it was actually very good. Making it one lap and making it, like, as chaotic as it is, having no railings like it did in the first one, and just basically having chain jumps running rampant, different harsh turns, like, it's very fun. It's very big of a contrast. The only thing I have with it is it's a bit too short now, which they could have just extended the track a bit more, like kept it as the like 3 lap thing but with different routes, but they could have just added like a fourth, like, I'm not saying it had to be 4 laps, but they could have just made them all like a bit longer and like added a fourth bit, you know. I just feel like there was more potential, but it was a very good track anyway. Since I've played Mario Kart, haunted tracks have always been some of my favourites, whether it was Banshee Boardwalk or Luigi's Mansion in Mario Kart DS, or in this game, Boo Lake. Like, I've just always enjoyed them, and considering this one's kind of like Banshee Boardwalk, but also it's very short, I just seem to like that combination. Like, I really enjoy short tracks, I've got to say. Looking back on this list, I honestly think the next 3 tracks was purely by coincidence, but at the same time it all fits very well and it kind of shows what my favourite type of tracks are. Starting it off, we've got New York Minute. It's a very dark track, and it's a city time, and there's cars and stuff in the way. That's not going to be trend with the next 2, but yeah, I don't know why I particularly like this track. Wave 2 just ended up standing out a lot to me. I did actually play it for a video, believe it or not, despite like not doing Mario Kart at all. But like, this wave just stuck out, and this track just ended up being one of my favourites. But I'm just going to move on straight to the next one, which is actually Toad's Turnpike. Like, this is a very hated opinion. I've had hate for this. Well, I haven't had hate for it before. I've not had hate for any of my Mario Kart takes. I'm a casual player. I'm not like a super sweaty guy who thinks that you can only ever play Cheeseland ever. But like, Toad's Turnpike, I don't know, it's just so satisfying, like weaving between the cars and like taking sharp turns and trying to take the inwards most path. It's also fun sometimes to just go on the outside and just like watch the chaos go down. It's another kind of baby park instance in my opinion, but it's a less talked about one. And finally, finishing off the trio that just ended up being basically the top of 8 here, except for one more track, is Moonview Highway. It was my favourite, or second favourite, Wii track behind Toad's Factory, and it was just like in my wish list to come back. So the fact it came back and it was basically the same, just they randomized the boost pads, which is really cool, is fun. I feel like I'm kind of a hypocrite by putting this one so like high but putting F-Zero tracks so low, because on the one hand they're not the same at all, but on the other hand they're both just like go fast tracks, you know. And I feel like I could have giving them a bit of a chance. But I don't know, I made the list like 2 weeks ago now. I'm not bumping them up, I'm not changing the list now. Finally, boys and girls, would you believe it? We've got the last track of the 8 here. It took me so long, I swear to God, this has just been driving me insane. But we've got Dragon Driftway. This track is just, like, in my memories, it's the one I've time traveled the most, I would say. That and probably Athens Dash. And, I don't know, I've always just enjoyed this one a lot. Just the charm of driving through whatever his name is from Mario Galaxy. Gobblegut, is it, or something? Again, I don't have a script, but, like, I just find it really fun. Like, again, the shortcuts on this track are some of the best. I can do them because I've time traveled this track for so long. But yeah, I was like 2 seconds behind world record pace, which I would say isn't bad. So I'm pretty good at this track. I would call myself a pro. I was debating whether I'm putting Squeaky Clean Sprint somewhere in the A tier, but honestly, I feel like it deserves the spot in the S tier. It's just such a fun, unique track. I feel like the concept has been done before with Ribbon Road, but at the same time, like, shrinking a person into a giant room, like a bedroom or a bathroom, is just cool, you know? I enjoy just seeing that, and I feel like the creativity that they did, like going in the bathtub, going down, seeing like all the dirt and grime down there, going up, the toilet having like the water spurting out, that's probably my favourite part, and like all the hidden paths. There's so much to this track that I feel like it has to be like the most, I don't know, most well thought out track in the game, at least. If I had to pick any track to be the most universally liked track in Mario Kart history, I'd probably say TikTok Clock. I couldn't find a single person who actually dislikes the track in any single way. Like, tracks like Waluigi Pinball and Coconut Mall are probably gonna have those few haters to stand out to be different, but TikTok Clock is not really that many people's favourites, but no one hates it, and I'm the same. I really love this track, like, growing up with it, going on the cogs and stuff, it's just cool. So I don't know, I've not got much to say about it, but it's just a classic, like, everyone knows it. And it's from Mario 64, the best game ever. You need to like that track or else you're just bad, you know. How the mighty have fallen. This track went from being an actual mall to having like people in it and having like a lot of life, to just kind of being a shell of what it once was. I feel like honestly I might have put this up a few spots just because of how popular it is, and to not get bashed, as a sign of respect. Like, it's such a big track, it's universally known, it's probably the most popular track with Mount Wario and Waluigi Pinball in the entire series. Like, there's so much to like about it, but they kind of just butchered it. But like, it's still the same track at its core, despite the cars being different and the elevators being different and that one tree being different. Like, it's still the same track, so you've got to like respect it for that. I feel like this is the last one that will really draw up any hate from this entire list, or just discussion. Like, obviously discussion's good, but obviously hate isn't, so we're hoping it's discussion. But LA Laps, there might be one other that might be a bit for you guys, but we'll see. But yeah, I think this is one of the best city tracks. There's only one that I've put above it, just because there's like, it's LA, you know, it's the place of Hollywood, it's the place where people get drunk and have drugs and stuff. Like, they made that into a city track. There's oil, they're mining oil, and that's like Americans, am I right? Funny American thing that funny Americans do? Wow. Just cracking the top 10 of this list, we have Ribbon Road. Ribbon Road is a very controversial track, I would say, in my opinion, but honestly, I don't get the hate around it. There's a lot of things that's just amazing about this track. The scenery and the graphics of this track are like next level. Being shrunk inside a bedroom, as I said with the bathroom, it's just a really cool concept, and I just really like it. The wavy road is probably my favourite part of the track, how it like just messes people up and it's just kind of fun to play on. Like, taking the shortcuts while the road's like bending, trying to like trick off it or whatever while it's all happening. It's just really fun. In ninth, in my humble opinion, is the best Rainbow Road in the game. Nope, sadly it's actually Wii Rainbow Road. But not sadly, there's a lot to look forward to for this track. This track has an insane layout, the tricks and just different shortcuts you can do, especially the shroomless cut after the half pipes is just crazy. The different tricks and different things you can go down is just super cool. And I feel like there's a certain charm to this track. All the like star bits running around, like the Mario Galaxy references. It's a really cool track, and I love how it ended off Wii. I feel like all the original DLC for Mario Kart 8 ended up being the most forgotten tracks, and I honestly don't like that. A lot of them are really good. As I said, Driftway is one of my favourite tracks in the entire game, and now Super Bell Subway. Like, this track has so much to offer. Having a train go through is just a great idea for a mechanic, because you've got to avoid the train while just getting items, throwing them at people, avoiding items in a tiny tube, while also just trying to stay on track, taking shortcuts through the off-road as well. Like, there's a lot to do, and I feel like Fortnite kind of works with this kind of like mechanic, how there's like a small chance of you getting in the way. It's kind of like Calamari does it, but better. It just makes sense to have a train on the track that actually has like minor conveniences every so often, rather than like once in a race having a really big inconvenience that just holds everyone back. It's just a lot better. I feel like Piranha Plant Pipeway is the perfect track. I've only put it at number 7, but let me explain why I think this works. It has nostalgia value, being based off Mario Bros. 1 and the 1-2 level within it, where all the Goombas were blue and it was obviously underground. I feel like it used all the elements kind of perfectly. It has anti-grav, it has water, it has gliding, and none of them feel like out of nowhere. They all make sense to be in it. It has a good difficulty, it has enemies across the board, it has a few shortcuts and potential, and the theming is just like really good. It's up there. Like, Piranha Plant Pipeway doesn't really miss it on anything. It's only number 7 though, because I feel like it's a bit of favoritism, but I do just like the other tracks a little bit more. Turd Harbour nails the American theme even better than tracks like LA Laps, in my opinion. You can just immediately tell what this track is trying to do, and it does it perfectly. It has the Shy Guy Bazaar elements of being able to go on top of huts that are being used for sales and stuff, as well as just being able to take multiple paths, which is utilised well from other tracks like Sweet Sweet Canyon and Twisted Mansion. I feel like there's just a lot of different elements being blended into this track that makes it really good. I feel like they probably made this track as one of the final 3 tracks for the base game. I feel like it was kind of less inspirational on the theming side though, which is why it's only down at number 6. 6 is still a huge feat though, of course, considering how good all the tracks are. Cloudtop Cruise is the reason we probably didn't get Airship Fortress in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and honestly, I'm kind of happy. I love Airship Fortress, don't get me wrong, but this track blends both Sky Garden and Airship Fortress perfectly, while having as many references to other games as it wants. It has obviously the main airship you go through before bouncing on clouds, and then you go into the actual clouds itself and you have to avoid lightning. Like, it's so cool. I don't know what to say about this. I was so disappointed we never got a Bowser's Castle for this game or the Booster Course Pass until Wave 6 arrived and we got the beauty known as Bowser's Castle 3 from Super Mario Kart. This is the only Super Mario Kart track that ever even got close to the S tier, and it got right in it. It's honestly such a good blend of old and new, having the kind of flat gimmick of how the old tracks did, but it also uses anti-gravity to elevate them and make it look like you're going up and down the castle itself. It's really cool to climb the walls and go down, and especially the bits which actually go up above the main floor, using them for tricks, item boxes, coins, and just a shortcut. It's really cool. I also like the thwomps. The thwomps are nice. Speaking of thwomps, we have Thwomps Ruins, if I can talk. I actually think you guys will be very shocked by this one. This is the controversial take I was saying that the other one other than LA Laps. And I feel like the Mushroom Cups, especially track 4 on the Mushroom Cup, every game is just a banger. Shy Guy Bazaar, Toad's Factory, Thwomp Ruins, what was the DS one? Luigi's Mansion. They were actually all bops. Like, what? Like, I don't even need to explain okay, I might need to explain Front Ruins. Some of you probably hate this track. It's a very simple layout, yes, but I'm known to like very simple layout. I like Boo Lake. Like, I like simple. I like Baby Park. But yeah, Thwomps are going down everywhere. There's rolling, moving things. You get to go on the walls. You can also do that in Toad's Turnpike, but I did put that high as well. You can go into the temple, and then you can go out. I just like temples, okay? Stop asking me for my reasoning. Can't I just like a track? I like a track, and I'm gonna show you now another track I like, even more than this one. It's my second place. You can just let me have this, okay? Look guys, it's another tempo track! Okay, you guys are actually gonna like this one, because this is the most popular tour track, in my opinion. It probably is. The only other one I could really argue is Madrid, but I don't think so. Athens is just so different. For a location that's based on a real world place, it was the best one they could have picked. Having temples everywhere is just such a cool theme, and the amount of shortcut potential on this track is just crazy due to the temples. Being able to go up and down the main temple into the shortcuts and into the finish line is just really fun, and gliding across all the temples is probably one of my favourite parts. Going with the boulders and boosting on is fun, but I'm just going to get into number one, because I'm excited for you guys to see my opinion. And remember, this is my opinion. If you guys don't agree, you're wrong. Let me tell you a story of when I was a child. Believe it or not, I was once a child, and when Mario Kart first came out in 2017, on the Switch at least, I was 10. Yes, I was a child. I'm gonna keep bringing that back. But I was always super fascinated by the tracks in this game. The first track I ever played, it was at a friend's birthday party, was actually Rainbow Road, the original. And that might be why I like it so much. The track after that I played was Toad's Harbor. Maybe that's why I liked it so much. The track after that is this track. When I first played this track as a child, my pre-brain just couldn't get over how cool, mechanically, creatively, and just aesthetically this track is. And I'm just gonna tell you, because honestly, if you've been keeping track, props to you. It's Sunshine Airport. Like, this track is insane. Like, it's an airport. You're driving in an airport. Like, even my big brain is not comprehending that. Like, what? Like, I love the aesthetic of airports so much. Like, I hate being in an airport, that's hell, but like, the aesthetic of it, being in an airport at night, the planes going up and down, that is the coolest thing ever. And they made that a track. You go through the cargo with all the bags and stuff, you go onto a plane, how cool is that? And then you glide with the plane. Like, that, excuse me? Mario Kart 7? Mario Kart 9, can we go on a plane? Mario Kart 7 made it so we can glide. Can we just drive a plane? That would be appreciated. But I'm just going to end the video now, because I am on a high note. I am absolutely on a high note. I have been making this for 3 weeks now. In that time, I could have gone on a plane and gone to, like, I don't know, LA or something, and mined some oil. Like, how crazy is that? Like, actually, I like this video, but it's just, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, you guys can go now, so leave.